All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to be working on factoring linear expressions. It says factor each expression. If the expression cannot be factored, right, cannot be factored. Over here, we got 17x plus 34. As I said at the beginning, the first thing we want to do is make sure that the small number can't go in the big number. But we know 17 times 2 is 34. For those of you that can't figure that out in your heads, here's your calculator check. 17 times 2 does equal 34. So that means we know that 17 is the greatest common factor. We know this because there is no number bigger than 17 that can be factored in 17. So right off the bat, we can put 17 in front. And what is 17? What do we multiply to 17 to equal x? 17x, well, only x. And then what do we multiply to 17 to get 34? That's going to give us 2. And we have 17 times x plus 2. For those of you that went to the board with us, checking out what factor things, let's try this. All right, if we have 17x, what factors into 17x? Well, only 17 times x. And what factors into 34? Well, 17 times 2. Now, if we do this, we see that 17 is our greatest common factor because it's the only one that we circle. And then we know that x is going to be the first number or the first variable in the term, and 2 will be the second number. Okay? So let's go to number 3. I'm going to do all the odd ones for you. We have 30x equals 18. Well, 18 does not factor into 30, but we do know that 30 can be divided into 2 to give us 15. It could also be divided into 6. 6 times 5 is 30. And we know that 18 can be divided by 6 as well to give us 3. So right there tells us. But let's break it down like we did in class for all those that don't see that very easily. If we have 30x, we know that that can be, let's see, well, let's say we went 2 times 15. All right? And if we have 2 times 15, we know that 15 can be divided by doing 3 times 5. And we have the x left over, so we'll bring the x over here. Next number is 18. And we know 18 could be also 2 times 9. But we also know 9 can be done by 3 times 3. So now let's circle the things that are in common. And that's the 2. That's the 3. And we know 2 times 3 is 6. So once again, we came up with the number 6. Now that we have 6, what times 6 will give us 30x? And that's going to be 5x. Do we see the numbers left over are always the right answer? And what number times 3 will give us 18? The number on the bottom here, 3. All right, let's go to number 5. What number goes into 38 and 12? Well, 12 times 3 will give us 36, but that's not 38. We could also say that 12 is divisible by 4. Is 38 divisible by 4? And that answer, I believe, is going to be no. We also could say that 12 is divisible by 3. Is 38 divisible by 3? Once again, the answer is no. So the only thing I can think of that they're both divisible by right now is 2. So let's go ahead and break them down real quick and make sure that I haven't made a mistake. 38 is going to be, let's see, 2 times 19. And 19 is a prime number. And then 12, negative 12, is going to be 2 times, let's see, negative, well, we could say 2 times negative 6, but that could really also be negative 3 times 2. All right, and there's an x over here, so we'll bring the x. And once again, we see the only thing that in common from the top and bottom are going to be the 2. So we put the 2 in front. Now we have to ask ourselves, 2 times what will give us 38x? Well, it's 19x. And to give us negative 12 would be 3 times 2, which is 6, and there's a negative 3, so it would be negative 6. And that all works out fine because 2 times 19x is 38x, and 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. Let's go to number 7. I'm just going to erase these for right now. For those people that are waiting for me to go ahead and do them all and just write the answers at the end, you must follow along with Mr. Mendez. All right, the next one is 3x minus 27. I know 3 goes into 27 3 times to make 9. So I'm going to put 3 in front. And once again, 3, what times 3 will give me 3x? Well, x. And what times 3 will give me negative 27? That'll be negative 9. All right, number 9 says 26x minus 5. Well, 5 doesn't go into 26. The only thing 5 goes into is itself, which is, let's see, well, negative 1 times 5. 26x is over here. And what goes into 26? Well, we could say that 2 times 13. And we'd have to stop right there. There are no numbers on the top and bottom to match. So that means this cannot be factored. And I'm just going to go ahead and type that in there. Cannot be factored. And we'll just shrink this up a bit. Well, we don't even have to. It fits in there nicely. All right, let's go to number 11. Number 11 says that we've got 15x minus 14. Well, let's see. 15x can be factored into 3 times 5 times x. And 14 can be factored into, let's see, that would be negative 7 and times 2. As you can see, once again, there's nothing up here that is matching. So this cannot be factored. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and check out number 13. Number 13 says 7x plus 35. Well, we know that 7 times 5 is 35. So right off the bat, we know that 7 does factor into 35. We can go ahead then and put 7 in front as our greatest common factor. What times 7 will give us 7x? Well, that's 7 times x. And what times 7 will give us 35? That's going to be 5. And there's our answer. Number 15 says 9x minus 63. Well, 9 goes into 63 because 9 times 7 is 63. It's a negative 63, so that's going to be a negative 7. So there's no x's over here. Once again, we put 9 in front as our greatest common factor. What times 9 will give us 9x? X. And what times 9 will give us negative 63? That's going to be negative 7. All right, let's try 8x plus 15. Well, 8 doesn't go into 15, so I'm going to go ahead and factor these out. And we know that 8x comprises of 2 times 2 times 2 times x. For those of you thinking 2 times 4, remember 4 is 2 times 2. Now we're going to take 15, and 15 is really just 3 times 5. And once again, there's nothing on the top and bottom that are going to go ahead and match up. So I'll have to put cannot be factored. All right, number 19, we got 24x plus 48. And once again, I can see that 24 will go into 48 nicely because 24 times 2 is 48. So since there's no x here, I can put 24 in front as my greatest common factor. 24 times what will give me 24x? Well, 24 times x. And 24 times what will give me 48? Well, that's 2. So we got 24 times x plus 2. All right, the last one is the area of a rectangle, a rectangular sandbox, is 5x plus 40 feet. It says factor 5x plus 40 to find possible dimensions of the sandbox. Okay, so we're going to be looking for possible dimensions. All we know right now is the area, so let's just draw it out over here. A rectangular sandbox. And we know the area total is going to be 5x plus 40. What do we know about the area? Well, the area is always the base times the height, right? Base times the height. That gives us the area. Now we have to figure out how to factor all the possible things, all the possible dimensions of this sandbox. Okay? So let's go ahead and think of what numbers can be multiplied to each other to equal this here. All right? And the important thing to remember is it's two things that are going to be multiplied to each other. Some number here and some number here. It doesn't matter what the term looks like, there just has to be two of them. So once again, let's factor out something, because if we do, we'll have one number on the outside multiplied to some numbers on the inside. So what can be factored into 5x plus 40? Well, 5 does go into 40 because 5 times 8 is 40. So we can go ahead and factor out the number 5. Now what times 5 will give us 5x? 5 times x. And what times 5 will give us 40? That'll be 8. So the dimensions of the sandbox could be 5 by x plus 8. See, 1 could be our base, 1 could be our height, right? And that would be the dimensions of the sandbox. So I did all the odd ones. Have fun with all the even ones, and I'll see you tomorrow.